Next up, we have the defending Patriot League champion Lehigh Mountain Hawks. They defeated number 1 seed Colgate 16-14 in the Patriot League championship game a year ago in what was just quite a game to watch, to be honest with you. Lehigh fell in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Maryland, the eventual national runner-up. Mountain Hawks were 14-3 last year, 5-1 in the Patriot League, and their head coach is Kevin Cassese, entering his 6th season in Bethlehem. Coach, your opening statement, if you would, please.
Yeah, first off, just want to say thank you for putting this together. Thanks for all the media members to be on this call today. Also, just want to start off by saying congratulations to every team in the Patriot League. I'm very, very proud to be a part of this league, and where the league is right now, the kind of the state of the league today, as opposed to 6 years ago when I got here, is really impressive. And I just want to commend everybody. I really believe that it has a lot to do with the coaches that are in this league. And I know we've had some turnover, but we have great coaches in this league, and I'm just I'm really excited to be a part of that group and mention with the other guys in here. So I know it's made me a better coach, and it's made our program a lot better trying to go up against these guys. So I want to start with that. Also, just specific to my team, I'm excited. I think everybody's excited this time of year, just looking ahead to, the year that's about to start. I've been very impressed with my team so far this preseason. We're 2 weeks into preseason. The reason why I'm impressed is because, to be honest with you, I was very unimpressed in the fall. I didn't think we had a good fall. I thought our guys came back and, had some big heads and, weren't quite focused the way they needed to be, and I really challenged them towards the tail end of the fall and challenged them when they went home on their own, to come back in great shape and get their heads right and really focus on the task at hand. And they have done that, and they are very focused. Our practices have been intense. They've been fast-paced and, dialed in, from a focus perspective, and I feel like we have a new team than what we had in the fall. And the challenges for us, are different than they have been in the past. Every year of my first 5 years, we've been a young team. This year, we're a veteran team. So the challenges are just a little bit different, but there are always challenges, is what I'm finding. And, it's fun to try and assess the challenges and then go out and attack them. And that's what we're doing right now in the preseason. So one thing that I've found is, we've almost had to stop ourselves a little bit from going, too fast in our systems and putting too much in early. That's been tough for us to do because, the players are kind of looking at me like, Coach, come on, we know this already, let's move on. But I'm really trying to tailor it to some of the younger guys so that we can do something we haven't done here in the past, which is develop our depth. We've never really been a team with depth, and now we're trying to do that a little bit more, and hopefully that'll help us out in the long run. Our goals are always going to start with the league. How strong the league is, how competitive it is. Every team in this league is good, so you have to bring your A game every game. For us, we're going to try and do something that hasn't been done in 6 or 7 years, which is trying to repeat as Patriot League champions. And I thought long and hard. I'm a big college football fan. Listen to Nick Saban, talk about not mentioning the word repeat. Well, I get that. They've won a lot of championships. For us, we've only won one. And, I'm a big fan of trying to do something that we haven't done before. So, that's become a big goal for us, is to try and achieve that goal. And then, obviously, that opens up the door for, return trips to the NCAA tournament. And that's not something we want to take on. We want to try and earn that through the league. So I think that's a similar goal to what other teams are going to have in this league. And, I think that's a good place for us to start. So looking forward to getting going. We do so with a scrimmage next weekend. A lot of teams open up this weekend. We don't. We're going to start with a scrimmage next weekend against Mount St. Mary's, and then we open up on February 9th against St. Joe's at home.
Coach, thanks very much. Any questions for Kevin Cassese at Lehigh?
I guess first things first, how have you attacked trying to replace the leadership that graduated with the Lacrosse brothers?
Yeah, the leadership, to be honest with you, it wasn't just with we had a great senior class. It was a small class last year, But even some of the guys that weren't as visible on the field, off the field were tremendous leaders. So that's been a challenge for sure. I think it was a major challenge in the fall, but we really took that semester to address those issues. And this senior class is very talented that we have right now, and they're plenty capable of leading. Those guys have stepped up in a big way. We have one of those seniors was appointed as a team captain early in the fall. He's done a great job. That's Brian Hess. He was, oddly enough, the line mate of the Twins last year, so learned a great deal from those guys. We have veterans on both ends of the field. Dante Fantoni, David DiMaria, they've been 4-year starters for us on the offensive end. Mike Noon, Ty Souders have both been 3-year starters for us on that end. So, we do have veteran guys on both ends of the field. We have veteran guys in the locker room. We have veteran guys off the field, kind of managing everything. So it's just a matter of getting those guys to step up, and, they're certainly doing that at this point.
Rick alluded to this a bit during his time, but it's pretty clear that every program in the Patriot League has really kind of stepped up and wanted to devote more resources to the sport. What was it that you saw in Lehigh when you took the job that you'd get what you would need in order to build a successful program that could compete for league titles?
I think you're talking about what resources were put into the program in order for me to come to Lehigh and obviously to try and succeed. For me, I got to be honest with you, I didn't really know, and I was a young guy. I was 26 years old. When I got the job here at Lehigh, and I had no idea what I needed or what was necessary. To be honest with you, my biggest experience was at Duke, and I just assumed every place was like that, and I was very naive. What I found out very quickly is that in order to even have a shot at having some success, you need to have the support of the administration, not only within your athletic department, but also on the higher level. And, for us, we had that from day one. And, to be honest with you, I didn't know 100% that was going to be the case until, I lived it and experienced it. But, everyone from, the chairman of the board of trustees, a guy named Dan Smith, he's a Lehigh Lacrosse alum and, graduate of 1971. He was, very integral part of trying to help this program take the next steps, among other programs as well. But obviously when you have an alum in that position, that goes a long way. Our president at the university is also a former student athlete in college, not at Lehigh, but, so she understands, the athletics, the importance of athletics, and, obviously how it plays a role in our mission, greater mission of education. So, when you have people like that on the highest level at your university, it really helps to gain the resources and the camaraderie and the support that you need in order to try and take the next step with your program. And, I really look at those folks and thank those folks for doing that and allowing us to, go ahead and give it a shot. So that's kind of where we're at and why it's happened that way. But, along the way, there's been a lot of great people involved that have allowed us to take some big steps. And, a lot of people will look at me because I'm the head coach of the program, but I can guarantee you could be the best coach in the world, which I'm not, but you could be the best in the world if you have that support, if you don't have that support, you're really going to struggle that way. So I look at all the people I've been surrounded by and thank those people every day.
Kevin, Ken McMillan with the Times-Herald Record. You lost about a third of your scoring from last season. Can you talk about, how you plan to make that up this year, and what do you think some of your team's strengths are going to be this year?
Yeah, I think the most fun challenge that I have right now is in our midfield, and a lot of people look at that and say, well, that's going to be your weakness, and for me, weakness is a challenge, so I'm excited about that. We have plenty of capable guys, and we probably have more depth than we ever have before. Let's face it, our twins last year, Roman and Cameron, they basically took every shift. I mean, unless they're, tongues were literally tied around their ankles, they were going to go back out there. This year I'm looking forward to a more balanced attack. I'm looking forward to playing more people there, and I think we have some guys with unique skill sets in that spot, and that's going to be an exciting challenge for me. But I think there's some known quantity or known commodities there on the offensive end for us, and then there's some unknown that I'm excited to work with and develop and see who steps up. So. Listen, it's a veteran team, but I think it'll have a little bit of a different look than it has in the past, and that's okay. I think everybody's going to be that way. You always have to figure out, how to put your team that you have, the personnel you have, in the best positions to be successful. I think that's what all of us are trying to do.
Coach, this is Ed Lee with the Baltimore Sun. Can you just talk about, obviously, with the success you guys had last year, does that set the bar at a level that, there's obviously some expectations and pressure with that? I mean, basically, how do you follow up what you did last year as an encore?
It does set the bar. And now I think we understand that, we can achieve at that level. But we also understand that this is a new year. And, even though we're a veteran team, we have new people, and, you change over a good percentage team every year. But yeah, certainly when you do some things that you haven't done around here ever, like winning Patriot League championships and going to NCAA tournaments and, winning 9 games in a row and all that type of stuff, when you do that, now you kind of wake up and say, all right, well, we are capable of doing this, and, what are we going to do this year, and how are we going to try and better ourselves and take the next step with the program. And I think that's what it's been all about, and certainly the messaging coming from me to the players, and then from the players among themselves is we want to continue to raise that bar, and we're gonna always try and elevate our goals and try and work real hard to meet those goals. So I don't think that changes. I mean, we did the same thing from year 1 to year 2. And we're going to do the same thing from year 5 to year 6, as far as my tenure here with the program. So I think no matter what you do, there's always room for more, and there's always room to get better, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you, Coach.
Kevin, the midweek ESPNU game against UMass, a team that was in the NCAA tournament last year, seems like a unique opportunity to get some eyes on your program that may not have seen you in the past. What are your thoughts on taking advantage of that and just kind of that opportunity in general?
Yeah, I think the amount of TV games in general for Division I lacrosse is just tremendous, and I think the Patriot League is well represented this year, both on ESPNU and then CBS Sports, and just anywhere possible. It's good. It's good for the league, and certainly good for the sport. For us, we're going to have a few games on. We have our Penn State game will be on ESPN3, and UMass game ESPNU, and then CBS with the Colgate game later in the year. So, I think that's great. I think the UMass game, that's an addition to our schedule in general. Some interesting storylines there. Certainly with the 2 high-profile St. Anthony's attackmen, Will Manning and Dante Fantoni, being line mates from high school, and just the opportunity. I thought we did our people here did a really good job last year when we hosted the NCAA game against Maryland, and tickets sold out in under 48 hours for the game, and we packed out the facility, and I think we have a pretty good shot of doing that again for this UMass game. The lacrosse in this area up here in the Lehigh Valley is booming, and people are really excited about the sport. They're really excited about the local teams, and they're really starting to come out and take advantage of that. So it's going to be exciting, and we're thrilled to be on TV, and I think certainly we all wish we had more games on TV, but we gotta continue to do what we're doing as a league, and I think that'll continue to increase.